The mysterious absence. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, there was a place where the most powerful beings of the universe gathered, the Galactic Council. It was an organization of great influence, composed of representatives from countless advanced civilizations. For eons, this council had maintained order across the stars, regulating trade, peace, and politics between the different species. Every species in the galaxy had a seat at this table, but one was missing: Earth. No one had expected this. Earth, once a minor player in the vast galactic game, had earned a seat at the table decades ago. Despite its relatively small technological base compared to the other advanced civilizations, humans had quickly made a name for themselves. Their ingenuity, resilience, and surprising ability to adapt and learn had impressed even the most ancient and wise species of the galaxy. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. Yet, as the years passed, Earth's representative in the council stopped attending the meetings. One by one, their messages ceased. The quiet whispers began circulating. The council knew something was wrong but could not put their finger on it. A whole planet, a whole civilization, simply disappeared from their radar. Their seat at the table remained empty, and no one knew why. The other council members began to grow uneasy. A few began to speak openly about the strange silence, but the answers were always vague, cloaked in mystery. Some believed Earth had finally succumbed to the struggles of their own planet. Perhaps they had fought too many wars, faced too many crises, or simply couldn't handle the pressure of being part of the galactic community. Others feared that Earth might have fallen under the influence of an enemy so powerful that they had been silenced. Among the representatives, a young council member named Ryan stood out. He was part of the Zathari species, a race known for their advanced telepathic abilities. While many of his fellow members were content to dismiss Earth's absence as a minor issue, Ryan had other thoughts. His instincts told him that something far more dangerous was at play. He had heard rumors from his informants that Earth's scientists had recently discovered something: a technology, a breakthrough, or maybe even a hidden power. Something that could shift the balance of the galaxy. But what exactly was it? What was this mysterious force that made Earth so quiet, so uncommunicative? Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that Earth's disappearance wasn't just an accident. The seat in the council chamber was empty, but it wasn't a mere absence. It was as if Earth had chosen to remove itself from the council, like a player withdrawing from a game. Why would a species so eager to prove itself, to be recognized among the galaxy's elite, suddenly pull away? As he pondered these questions, the Galactic Council was holding yet another session. The empty seat of Earth was the elephant in the room, but no one dared speak about it. The larger issues at hand were far too pressing for most representatives to focus on a missing planet. However, Ryan couldn't ignore it. His suspicion was growing. There had to be more to this silence, something far deeper than anyone realized. The council leader, an ancient being from the planet Zoros, stood at the head of the table, scanning the room with his wise, knowing eyes. His long, silver tendrils moved like slow rivers, signaling his displeasure with the lack of action. He cleared his throat, a signal for the council to fall silent. "Once again, we gather here," he began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The state of our galaxy is ever-changing, and we must remain vigilant. However, we cannot ignore the absence of Earth. It is a troubling sign. We have all worked together to build this great alliance, but Earth's sudden silence demands our attention. It is not something to be taken lightly." Ryan's heart raced. For the first time, the leader had acknowledged Earth's absence. But what did it mean? Was the council simply worried that Earth had become irrelevant, or was there something more to it? Before anyone could respond, a communication device on the table lit up, interrupting the stillness. It was an encrypted message, a message so highly classified that only the highest-ranking members of the council were allowed to see it. The room fell silent as the leader's tendrils curled toward the device. "Who is it?" someone asked, their voice low. The leader's face remained unreadable as he opened the message. For a long moment, no one moved or spoke. Ryan could see the tension in the leader's posture, a subtle change that indicated something was wrong. Finally, the leader turned to face the room. "It appears," he said, his voice heavy, "that Earth has been watching us. Their absence was not voluntary. They have discovered something important, and they have decided to withdraw from the Council's influence. They are preparing for something, but what exactly remains unclear." A collective gasp echoed through the chamber. Ryan's mind raced. Earth was not silent because of a mistake or a mere collapse. No, they had chosen to remain silent. They were preparing for something far greater than anyone could imagine. Ryan knew this was only the beginning. Something had awakened on Earth, something that had caught the attention of the galaxy. He had no idea what it was, but one thing was certain. Earth was no longer the small, insignificant world that had once been dismissed. The balance of the galaxy was about to shift, and the Council had no idea just how dangerous Earth was becoming. As the Council began to discuss the implications of this revelation, Ryan's thoughts were already racing ahead. He needed to get to Earth. He needed to know what they were planning. The fate of the galaxy might depend on it. Little did anyone know, the galaxy's greatest mystery was just beginning to unfold. And Earth, for better or worse, was at the center of it. All the Council's chamber was filled with an uneasy quiet, each representative processing the news in their own way. The Zatheri, the most attuned to emotions and thoughts, were particularly silent, their minds wrapped in curiosity and concern. Ryan, however, was different. He had always been more connected to the undercurrents of the galaxy than most, sensing changes in the fabric of reality itself. And now something was stirring on Earth. He could feel it in the air, just beyond the edge of his perception. He couldn't shake the feeling that the Council, despite their ancient wisdom, had underestimated what was happening. Earth wasn't merely quiet. Earth was hiding something. And whatever it was, it had the potential to change everything. The message the leader had received was encrypted, but Ryan's instincts told him there was more to it than just a simple warning. Earth was planning something that would force the entire galaxy to reckon with their power. He had to find out what it was. He spent the following days, weeks even, poring over every fragment of information he could get his hands on. He accessed the most secure data channels, scanned countless star systems, and even reached out to his trusted contacts who had connections to Earth. But every attempt to learn more led him to dead ends. The human race had become like a locked vault, its secrets carefully guarded. Ryan's mind raced with questions. What could possibly be so important that it had made Earth withdraw completely from the Galactic Council? Was it a new technology? Had they uncovered something ancient, something that was better left untouched? Then, late one evening, an encrypted message appeared on Ryan's personal device. It was unlike anything he had seen before. The sender was unknown, but the message contained coordinates, a set of numbers that seemed to pulse with energy. They led to Earth. Ryan's heart quickened. This was it. This was the break he had been waiting for. With a single command, he ordered his ship to course toward Earth's location. The journey would take several days, but Ryan's mind was already far ahead, running through every possible scenario. What could he expect to find? A newly developed weapon? A hidden alliance? Or perhaps something even more dangerous? As his ship sped through the stars, Ryan couldn't shake the nagging feeling that Earth's disappearance from the Council wasn't just a matter of pride or secrecy. It was something far more dangerous. Earth had been silent for too long, and that silence was starting to feel like a warning. The time it took to reach Earth felt like an eternity. Every minute Ryan spent in deep space, his thoughts grew more and more chaotic. The Zatheri were a people who prided themselves on their deep understanding of the galaxy and its flow, but Ryan knew that what he was about to face, was something completely unprecedented. Finally, after what seemed like endless days of travel, the massive blue planet appeared in the distance, suspended in the void like a beacon of mystery. Earth looked so ordinary from a distance, but Ryan knew better. He had learned that appearances could be deceiving. And this planet, despite its beauty, had hidden depths that could change the fate of the universe. His ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, moving slowly and carefully as he approached the coordinates he had been given. The surface of Earth was far more alive than he had expected. Energy readings were off the charts. Suddenly, he was aware of a tremendous buildup of power. It wasn't coming from any known source. It felt ancient, forgotten. As he landed, Ryan took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing thoughts. There was something on Earth, something important. The air was thick with the weight of a secret that had been buried for centuries. The landscape around him was vast and green, dotted with the remains of human civilization. But there was something different now, something not immediately visible to the naked eye. Earth was a planet that had once been on the brink of chaos, struggling with its internal conflicts, but it was no longer the fragile world it once was. Ryan began to move toward the center of the planet's energy signature, navigating through dense forests and towering mountains. His steps were swift and purposeful, the mysteries of Earth pulling him deeper into its heart. Hours passed, but Ryan finally arrived at what could only be described as a monument, an enormous ancient structure half hidden beneath layers of overgrowth and time. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The architecture was neither human nor of any known species. It looked like a fusion of advanced technology and ancient craftsmanship, with symbols and markings that made no sense to him. Ryan's telepathic abilities buzzed in his mind as he approached. There was something alive here, something that thrummed with power. He reached out, touching one of the markings, and was instantly flooded with images and emotions. He saw flashes of human history, of battles fought and victories won. But beneath it all was a hidden truth, a force that had been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. As the images cleared, Ryan understood. Earth hadn't just been hiding. They had been preparing for something much larger than anyone had imagined. The ancient structure was a relic, a key to something far greater. The humans had uncovered something that could change the galaxy's very foundation. It wasn't just technology. It was power, the kind of power that could challenge even the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And that power was about to awaken. Ryan had no choice but to face the truth. Earth had never been weak. The silence was not a sign of submission. It was a warning. Earth was about to reveal something that could change everything. The question now wasn't if Earth would rise, but when, and what would happen when it did. Ryan stood frozen before the massive monument, his mind reeling with the enormity of what he had just uncovered. The ancient structure hummed with energy, and the sensation that something long dormant was awakening became undeniable. He could feel the power vibrating through the ground beneath his feet, echoing through his senses like a distant drumbeat. Whatever was hidden here, it was far beyond anything he could have expected. He stepped closer, his boots crunching on the thick layers of moss and debris that had settled over the forgotten relic. The markings on the stone, intricate and foreign, began to glow faintly as his hand brushed against them. They seemed to recognize his touch, reacting in a way that suggested the structure wasn't just a passive monument. It was alive, or perhaps it had been alive once, and had simply been waiting for something, or someone, to awaken it. Ryan's mind raced as the images continued to flood his consciousness. He saw a time long before the Galactic Council was even a thought in the stars, an era when Earth had been a young planet, its people struggling against the forces of nature and their own divisive tendencies. But within the chaos, something extraordinary had taken root. Earth had been chosen to harbor an unimaginable force, a force capable of reshaping the balance of power across the galaxy. The images shifted. Now, Ryan could see the humans, primitive in their technology, but undeniably resourceful and driven. The structure before him had been left by an ancient civilization, one that had been wiped out long ago. A civilization that had known the secrets of harnessing power beyond imagination, and Earth had been chosen as the planet to safeguard its legacy. Ryan pulled his hand away from the glowing stone, a sense of urgency taking hold of him. What he had just glimpsed was only the beginning. Earth's silence was not the result of weakness, as the Council had foolishly assumed. It was because Earth had been guarding this power, keeping it hidden from the rest of the galaxy. And now, it seemed that the humans were ready to reveal it. But why? Why now? The question gnawed at him as he made his way through the jungle, each step bringing him closer to the heart of the mystery. He couldn't help but wonder if the humans had simply been waiting for the right time, or if they had been forced into this by a series of unforeseen events. Had they been pushed into a corner with no other choice but to use this power? Ryan paused as a sudden realization hit him. The Galactic Council had been blinded by their own arrogance, thinking that Earth was nothing more than a small, insignificant planet in the vast expanse of the galaxy. They had disregarded the humans' potential, assuming they were too divided, too fractured, to ever pose a threat. But Ryan had seen something different, something that made him question everything he had ever believed about the humans. The humans were more than they seemed. They had always been underestimated, and that was a mistake. As he reached the center of the jungle, he came upon a clearing. In the middle stood a massive stone doorway, the final resting place of the secret that had remained hidden for centuries. The doorway was adorned with the same strange markings, but now they glowed brightly, illuminating the area in a pulsating rhythm. Ryan stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He had no idea what he would find on the other side, but he knew one thing for certain. Whatever lay beyond this threshold would change the galaxy forever. With a deep breath, he placed his hand on the stone door. It shifted, groaning as it slowly began to open, revealing a dark chamber inside. The air was thick with the scent of earth and age, and the silence was absolute. As Ryan stepped inside, the glow from the markings outside cast eerie shadows on the walls. The chamber was vast, its walls covered in more strange symbols that Ryan could barely comprehend. But there, at the center of the room, stood what he had been searching for. It was a large spherical object, its surface smooth and reflective, yet it gave off an aura of power that made the hairs on the back of Ryan's neck stand up. He stepped closer, reaching out to touch it. The moment his fingers made contact, the object hummed, a deep, resonating sound that vibrated through his bones. Energy surged through the air, and Ryan felt a sudden flood of information. Visions, sensations, memories, not his own, but the memories of something ancient and powerful. It was as if the object was alive, or at least it had once been. The visions were clear now. Earth's history, its struggles, its triumphs. But more than that, Ryan saw glimpses of the future, of Earth standing at the center of a new era in the galaxy, wielding power like never before. It was a power that could change the course of galactic history, a force that could bring either salvation or destruction to the galaxy. Ryan pulled his hand away, his mind spinning. He had felt the power coursing through the object, and it was undeniable. Earth had hidden this power for a reason, but now that it was on the verge of being revealed, there would be no stopping it. Ryan knew he had to act. He couldn't allow the Council to find out about this. If they did, they would try to seize it for themselves, and the consequences would be catastrophic. But there was one problem. The humans had already realized the significance of the power they had discovered. Earth was no longer the quiet, unassuming planet it had once been. It had awakened, and with it, the potential to reshape the entire galaxy. As Rand stood in the chamber, his mind racing with the implications, he realized that the greatest challenge lay ahead. Not only would he have to protect Earth from the Council, but he would also have to help the humans unlock the true potential of the power they had found. And that, he realized, was the beginning of a new war, one that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The quiet that had once filled Earth's atmosphere was now shattered. Ryan stood in the chamber, heart racing as the realization hit him. The Galactic Council would soon learn of what had been hidden here, and they would stop at nothing to seize this power for themselves. The question now wasn't whether Earth would fight back, but how quickly they could prepare for the conflict that was coming. Ryan's mind spun as he considered the implications. The object in the chamber, This ancient relic was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol, a key to something much larger. If the humans could harness its power, they would no longer be the small, overlooked species they had once been. They would become a force to be reckoned with, one that even the mighty Galactic Council would fear. But the Council was vast, its influence stretching across countless worlds. Ryan knew they wouldn't back down easily. Their demands for Earth's submission had already been made clear. They wanted the planet's resources, its people, and now, it seemed, they'd wanted its power. The first step was clear. He needed to find a way to contact the humans who were closest to the relic's power. There were already whispers of unrest among Earth's leaders, but the revelation of the object's true significance would set everything into motion. Ryan left the chamber, moving quickly through the jungle that surrounded it. His mind was set on one destination, the hidden base where the last of Earth's remaining military leaders had gathered. They would need to be prepared, not only for the coming confrontation, but for what the relic's power could mean in the wrong hands. When Ryan arrived at the base, he was greeted with a mix of surprise and suspicion. The leaders didn't know him, but they quickly realized he wasn't just some stranger. He had come with knowledge, and that knowledge could change everything. The first leader he spoke with was General Marla, a no-nonsense woman with a sharp mind and a deep love for her planet. She listened intently as Ryan explained the discovery he had made, though he carefully left out some of the more mystical elements of the relic. There was no need to overwhelm them with information that might not yet be useful. Instead, Ryan focused on the one fact that would get their attention. Earth had power now. They didn't need to bow to the Galactic Council anymore. If they played their cards right, they could rewrite the rules of the galaxy. Marla was skeptical at first, but Ryan's conviction was undeniable. The general had seen too much in her years of service to simply dismiss a claim like this. She knew there was more to Earth's history than anyone had let on. And if Ryan was right, this was their moment to change everything. She gathered her top advisors and military leaders to hear Ryan's full story. When he finished, the room was silent. Everyone understood the gravity of the situation. Earth was no longer the underdog. The Council's ultimatum had pushed the planet to the brink. But now, with this new knowledge, they had a chance to fight back. The next few hours were a blur of planning and strategizing. Ryan explained what he had learned from the relic, how the ancient civilization had designed it to protect Earth from external threats. But it was clear that the relic's power wasn't just a shield. It was a catalyst, capable of changing the course of history. The general's team worked quickly, setting up communication channels with key Earth-based allies. It wasn't long before they reached out to others who might have insights into the relic. Earth's brightest minds, scientists, military strategists, and historians came together in a way they hadn't before. The Galactic Council wouldn't wait long before acting. They had already made it clear that Earth had to submit or face consequences. But now, for the first time, Earth had the upper hand. They weren't simply preparing for a war, they were preparing to take the fight to the Council. As Ryan left the base, the weight of the situation pressed down on him. This wasn't just about saving Earth. It was about something much larger. The Galactic Council had ruled over countless worlds, crushing resistance at every turn. But now, Earth had the power to challenge them. But Ryan knew it wouldn't be easy. The Council had resources beyond what Earth could imagine, and they wouldn't hesitate to use them. Even with the relic's power, Earth was vastly outmatched. But Ryan had faith in humanity's ingenuity. He had seen it firsthand. Humans could do the impossible when pushed far enough. Over the next few days, Ryan worked with Earth's leaders, preparing them for the coming battle. But it wasn't just the military that had to be ready. It was the entire population. News of the impending war spread across the planet. And soon, Earth's people were rallying together in ways they never had before. The Galactic Council may have underestimated humanity, but they were about to find out that underestimating Earth was the biggest mistake they could make. The first shot of the war was fired when a massive fleet of Council ships appeared in Earth's orbit. It wasn't a surprise attack. No, The Council was making a statement. They were here to remind Earth of its place in the galaxy. But what they didn't expect was the unexpected retaliation that came in the form of Earth's own newly formed fleet, powered by the ancient relics technology. The battle had begun. The battle had only just begun, but already, Earth's forces had taken the Galactic Council by surprise. Ryan stood at the command center, watching as Earth's newly formed fleet fought against the overwhelming power of the Council's ships. The relic, which had once been a mysterious object hidden beneath the surface of the planet, was now Earth's greatest asset. It had allowed them to build a fleet capable of standing up to one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Ryan could feel the tension in the air. The atmosphere was thick with the weight of everything at stake. Every ship that joined the battle was a symbol of humanity's resolve, each one a testament to their strength and resourcefulness. The Council had underestimated Earth's ability to fight back, but now it was clear that the human race was capable of more than they had ever imagined. On the battlefield, Earth's ships were moving with a precision that stunned their enemies. The power of the relic had transformed the ships into formidable opponents, with advanced weapons and shields that could withstand even the most advanced Council weaponry. What had once seemed like an impossible fight was now a real contest, with Earth's ships holding their own against the massive fleet of the Council. But despite Earth's success, Ryan knew that this was only the beginning. The Galactic Council was not a force that could be defeated easily. They had vast resources, powerful technologies, and armies that spanned entire star systems. The relic's power might have given Earth an edge, but it was far from enough to guarantee victory. The real question was whether humanity could hold its ground long enough to gain the upper hand. Earth's fleet had managed to inflict some damage on the Council's ships, but the Council's response was swift and brutal. New ships, larger and more powerful than anything Earth had ever seen, arrived at the battlefield. They fired weapons of unimaginable power, shaking Earth's fleet to its core. In the midst of the chaos, Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. The Galactic Council had come prepared for war, and they weren't going to stop until they had crushed Earth's resistance. They had made their demands clear. Humanity would submit or face annihilation. But Ryan refused to let fear take hold. He had seen what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. They had fought back against overwhelming odds before, and they would do so again. The relic had given them a chance, but it was up to the humans to take that chance and use it to its fullest potential. He turned to the control panel in front of him and activated a series of commands. A message appeared on the screen, a direct communication link to Earth's fleet. Ryan's voice was steady, despite the chaos around him. "We may be outnumbered," he said, "but we are not alone. We are the defenders of Earth, and we will not back down. This is our home, and we will fight to the last man, woman, and child. We fight for the future of humanity. Now, let's show the Council what it means to challenge Earth." Across the battlefield, Earth's forces responded. Ships from every nation on Earth joined the fight, their crews fueled by a shared sense of purpose. It didn't matter that they were vastly outnumbered. It didn't matter that they were up against an empire that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. All that mattered was that they were fighting for their survival. The battle raged on for hours, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Earth's fleet was holding strong, but it was clear that the Council was not going to give up easily. Their ships were relentless, and their attacks were precise. Yet Earth's forces were adapting, using their newfound technology to fight back in ways that had never been possible before. In the heat of the battle, Ryan's attention was drawn to a massive Council ship that had appeared on the outskirts of the battlefield. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, towering, menacing, and heavily armed. The ship's weapons fired with devastating force, cutting through Earth's fleet like a hot knife through butter. Ryan's heart sank. If that ship was allowed to continue its assault, Earth's forces would be decimated. He quickly formulated a plan, a desperate gamble that could change the tide of the battle. The relic's power wasn't just in its ability to enhance ships, it was in its ability to manipulate energy on a massive scale. Ryan believed that if they could focus the relic's energy into a concentrated beam, they could destroy the massive council ship and shift the balance of power in Earth's favor. Without hesitation, Ryan activated the relic's core. The energy surged through the command center, lighting up the room with a bright, otherworldly glow. The control panels hummed with power as the relic's energy was directed toward the battlefield. Ryan's pulse quickened as he watched the energy beam take shape. As the beam was released, it shot toward the massive council ship with incredible speed. The beam hit its target, and the ship exploded in a burst of light and debris. The shockwave from the explosion sent ripples through the battlefield, knocking several smaller ships off course. For a moment, everything was still. Then, as the dust cleared, the remaining council forces hesitated. The tide had shifted. Earth had struck a blow that would be remembered across the galaxy. But Ryan knew this wasn't over. The council would regroup, and they would come back stronger. The war was far from finished, but Earth had shown that it wasn't ready to give up. The relic had unlocked a new era for humanity, one where they could fight back against even the most powerful enemies. As Ryan looked out over the battlefield, he realized that humanity's true strength was not just in their ability to fight. It was in their resolve, their willingness to stand together, and their unshakable belief that no matter how impossible the odds, they could overcome anything. The war had only just begun. The battlefield was a chaotic mix of explosions, fire, and twisting debris. The massive council ship had been destroyed, but the cost had been high. Earth's fleet had taken significant damage, and many of their ships were severely crippled. The relic's energy had been drained to its limits, and Ryan knew they couldn't rely on it again so soon. Yet, despite the losses, Earth had gained a crucial victory. The Galactic Council wasn't known for taking defeat lightly. Ryan knew that the destruction of their flagship would only fuel their rage, and they would return with a vengeance. It was not the end, but rather a new beginning to a conflict that could threaten the very survival of humanity. From his command center aboard the Earth flagship, Ryan stared at the holographic map of the battlefield. The remnants of Earth's fleet were scattered across the war zone, regrouping and holding their ground. Despite their best efforts, they had only delayed the inevitable. The Council would not rest until Earth was conquered. Suddenly, a sharp ping rang out through the command center, breaking Ryan from his thoughts. A communication channel was opening. It was a direct message from the Council. Ryan didn't hesitate. He activated the link, and a cold, calculating voice filled the room. "This is Supreme Commander Tizar of the Galactic Council," the voice said, unwavering and full of authority. "You have managed to destroy one of our ships, but that is all you have done. The full might of the Council is still at your doorstep, and this war will not end with a victory for you. Your people's defiance has only ensured your eventual annihilation. You may have temporarily won the battle, but the war is far from over." Ryan clenched his fists. Tizar's words were chilling, but they did nothing to break his resolve. "We will fight until the end," Ryan replied, his voice steady. "We will never surrender." There was a brief pause before Tizar spoke again. "Very well. Prepare for what's coming. Earth, the full force of the Council's fleet is on its way. You will witness the true power of the Galactic Empire." The connection cut off, leaving Ryan standing there, staring at the empty communication panel. He could feel the weight of Tizar's words, but he refused to let fear take root. The Council had underestimated Earth before, and they would do so again. Turning to his crew, Ryan quickly began issuing orders. The Earth fleet had only a short time to prepare for the next wave. They couldn't afford to make the same mistakes. The fleet needed to regroup, and they had to be ready for whatever the Council threw their way. Meanwhile, the message from the Council had sent ripples throughout the rest of humanity. On Earth, citizens from all walks of life had come together in ways they hadn't before. Scientists worked tirelessly to create new technologies that could help in the fight. Engineers reworked Earth's ships to increase their durability, while military strategists crafted new battle tactics. Everyone had a role to play, and every hand was needed in the fight for survival. Despite the fear and uncertainty, something incredible was happening. Earth was uniting as it never had before. The weight of the fight ahead loomed over everyone, but they stood together, refusing to bow to the might of the Galactic Council. As Rayon walked the halls of the flagship, he couldn't help but be amazed at the resilience of humanity. His mind often wandered back to the ancient civilizations of Earth, societies that had been brought to the brink of extinction by forces far smaller than the Council. Humanity had always fought back, always found a way to survive. And now, that same spirit of defiance was alive and burning within each person on Earth. The time had come for Earth to step up and show the universe that they would not be ruled. They would not be crushed by the forces that sought to enslave them. The Council may have thought that humanity was just another insignificant race in the galaxy, but they were about to learn a painful lesson. Humanity would not be forgotten. Earth's absence from the galactic table was no longer a mystery. It was a challenge, and humanity would rise to meet it. Hours later, the first wave of the Galactic Council's reinforcements arrived. The battlefield was about to be engulfed in a storm unlike any the universe had seen before. The Council's ships were enormous, their firepower unparalleled, and their numbers seemed infinite. Rayon knew that if Earth was to survive this new wave, they would need more than just bravery. They would need a strategy that could outsmart the Council. Rayon stood at the helm, staring out into the vast expanse of space as the enemy fleet approached. His crew waited for his orders, ready to defend Earth with everything they had. But Rayon wasn't looking for just a fight. He was looking for an opportunity. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of space, there had to be a way for humanity to turn the tide. The moment was now. "We fought for this," Rayon said, turning to face his crew. "We will fight for our future. We will fight for our children. We will fight for Earth." With a single command, Earth's fleet moved into position, ready to engage the Council's forces. This time, they would not rely on just the power of the relic. They would use their greatest strength, ingenuity. And Rayon was certain that, with the will of humanity behind them, they could overcome even the most impossible odds. The battle was far from over, but humanity had made its stand, and it was a stand that would echo throughout the galaxy. The battlefield was a cacophony of sounds, the shriek of plasma blasts, the hum of engines struggling to maintain momentum, and the eerie silence that followed the explosion of a ship. Humanity had made its stand. The galaxy had never witnessed a war like this before. The Galactic Council, once the undisputed power of the universe, was now facing an enemy that would not yield. Ryan's hands gripped the command chair as he watched the holographic display flicker with activity. Earth's fleet, battered and bruised from the last battle, was holding its ground. The relic was being recharged, but it would take time. For now, Earth's military was using everything they had, every trick, every strategy, to stay alive. The Galactic Council's ships were massive, their weapons devastating, but humanity had something the Council could never understand: resolve. Ryan's mind raced. The Council had underestimated them before, but now they were prepared. They had made it this far by thinking outside the box, by fighting smarter rather than harder. Rayon wasn't a traditional soldier. He was a strategist, and that made all the difference. But this final battle, this last push for survival, would require more than just tactics. It would require every human on Earth, united in purpose, to fight as one. "We've held them off this long," Rayon said, turning to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mila. "But now we need to end this. They're not going to stop until they've wiped us out." Mila nodded solemnly. She was exhausted, like everyone else, but she, too, had the fire that burned in the heart of every human who had ever fought for their survival. "What's the plan, Commander?" Rayon looked out at the advancing fleet. The Council's ships were advancing in perfect formation, clearly prepared for another brutal assault. They had numbers, firepower, and precision. Earth's fleet, on the other hand, had determination. "We don't win this with force," Rayon said. his voice steady. "We win it with surprise. We've been holding back something they won't expect." Mila raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. "You mean the relic?" Ryan shook his head. "Not yet. We've already used it once. We need something more, something the Council can't possibly anticipate." Ryan turned to his crew. "Prepare the decoy ships. We're going to trick them. I want the rest of the fleet ready to move in on my command." The officers and soldiers in the room exchanged confused glances. "Decoy ships?" Mila asked, her voice filled with suspicion. "How do you plan to use those? They're just a distraction." Ryan smiled. "Exactly. The Council thinks they know our every move. They think they can predict our tactics. Let's show them they've been wrong this entire time." As Ryan's plan was set into motion, Earth's fleet began to scatter in an unpredictable pattern. The decoy ships, armed with long-range sensors and stealth technology, spread out across the battlefield, drawing the Council's fire. The real Earth fleet, hidden in the shadows, was preparing to strike when the time was right. In the chaos, Ryan's eyes locked onto the flagship of the Council. He could see it, massive and ominous, hanging in the dark void of space. This was it, the final moment. Earth's best chance to end this war once and for all. The decoys were doing their job. The Council had no idea that the real fleet was already moving into position. They thought they had Earth on the ropes. They thought they had humanity cornered, but they didn't know what was coming. "Now," Ryan said, his voice calm but filled with unyielding determination. "Attack." The Earth fleet surged forward, tearing through the battlefield with precision. The decoy ships had done their job, scattering the Council's forces and creating confusion in their ranks. The real fleet moved swiftly, exploiting every weakness, every gap in the Council's defense. The Council's commanders were caught off guard, their ships scrambling to respond. The first strike hit hard. Earth's ships unleashed a barrage of firepower, targeting the weak points of the Council's fleet. Massive explosions rang out, and the Council ships began to fall. The tide was turning, but Ryan knew it wasn't over yet. The Council was still formidable, and their reinforcements were not far behind. This victory would be short-lived unless they could strike the final blow. Ryan's heart raced as he watched the battle unfold. But something inside him told him that this was the moment. The moment humanity would take its place on the galactic stage, not as an afterthought, but as a force to be reckoned with. The relic's power was at its peak, ready to unleash the final surge of energy that would cripple the Council's remaining fleet. But Ryan hesitated. He wasn't sure if it was the right time. What if they didn't need it? What if this was Earth's moment to prove that they could survive without relying on ancient alien technology? It wasn't just about winning. It was about sending a message. Humanity was more than capable of standing on its own. This final stand would not be won by power alone. It would be won by the will to survive, the refusal to be crushed under the weight of the Council's oppression. Then, a new message came through. The voice was familiar. Supreme Commander Tazar, his cold and emotionless tone unmistakable. "You may have damaged our fleet, human, but you are nothing. You are insignificant. We will destroy you, just as we destroyed so many before you." Ryan's eyes narrowed. He took a deep breath and responded, his voice unwavering. "You underestimate humanity, Commander. You've made that mistake before. And now, you will pay the price for it." With that, Ryan gave the order. The final assault was launched. The relic's power surged, sending a wave of energy across the battlefield, obliterating the Council's remaining ships. The battle was over. The Galactic Council had been defeated. Humanity had won. But this victory wasn't just about surviving. It was about showing the universe that Earth would not be crushed, that humanity would not be subjugated. Earth's place at the galactic table had been earned, not by force, but by resilience, by creativity, and by the unwavering will of every human who had ever fought for survival. As the final echoes of the battle faded into the void of space, Ryan allowed himself a moment of reflection. They had done it. Humanity had stood tall, faced its greatest threat, and emerged victorious. And as the dust settled, Earth's place in the galaxy was no longer a mystery. It was a beacon of hope.